Yes, hi guys. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Plant Medicine, Cannabis, Psychedelics, and Pharmaceutics. I am excited today. I know you guys hear that a lot. I am excited for real, for real. I'm excited about this amazing do it all superhero. Yeah, I'm bringing another superhero here today. They do so much. We need to start shining light on nurses. They are so awesome. I mean, see what they went through for us during COVID. That is what shining a light on them. So before I get to my guest today, where are we? We are in Let's Talk Plant Medicine, Cannabis, Psychedelics, and Pharmaceutics. And who the heck am I? I am Dr. Lola, also known as Dr. O. For those of you that are just joining, I've been seeing new faces around here. I am so appreciative of you guys showing up. And so I am a clinical pharmacist by trade, medical cannabis specialist, plant medicine queen. That's what they call me. This show is for educational purpose and should not be taken as medical advice. That's our first house cleaning. The second house cleaning is the sponsors. Who is sponsoring this show? Yes, this show is sponsored by WCI Health, your alternative health and wellness hub. They are the makers of Glows and Glows Beauty product. And also, remember my book, A Pharmacist's Guide to Cannabis, Assertive of a Non-Conforming Clinician. If you are yet to pick it up, go grab your stuff. So for everything about WCI Health, Glows, head straight to the website, wci-health.com. And also, I want to say thank you to you. Yes, you. If you are on a Healthy Courseware membership, you are indirectly supporting this show. We want to say thank you. And for those of you that are yet to join our village, it takes a village. It takes a village. Come join us. If you would like to sponsor this show, slide in DM or go to wci-health.com for all the information. Yeah, that's that for us. I haven't said that Miss Eloise Theisen is our guest today. She is a nurse practitioner. She's the current president of American Cannabis Nurse Association. She's gonna be handing over the baton soon, but she's still the president. She's still our president. I am an honorary members of American Cannabis Nurse Association. I just spoke at the end of the year, at the year conference as their annual speaker, and Miss Eloise was so kind to have me there. It was a blast, I'm telling you. New Mexico will never forget us, for real. She is a specialized cannabis therapist. She is the co-founder and the CEO of Radicle Health and Radicle Health Network, chief nursing officers and president of Live 411. I mean, this woman, she is doing it all. I cannot do justice to her. I'm going to pass it to her and let her tell me all the good, juicy stuff about her. Miss Eloise, thank you so much for coming to our show. Please talk to me. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, Dr. Lola. It's a treat to be here. It was so great to have you at the conference and have that energy coming from you. And yeah, we're all still reeling from your talk and just your energy and collaboration. So thank you. Yep. So the American Cannabis Nurses Association, I'll start there. We've been around since 2010, believe it or not. So we're on our 11th year and now have over 1,500 members across all states in the United States. We do have some international members as well in Canada and Australia and the United Kingdom. And we're really just, our mission is to help educate, advocate, work with policy development, research, collaboration. And so, of course, that was part of our outreach to you, to start collaborating with other disciplines as well, because as you know, in this industry, it's very challenging to get the medical community on board with cannabis as a medicine for our patients.
It's The elephant in the room.
Yep. And it's a big one. So, we're always glad to be among like-minded people who have the same mission as us. And we were fortunate enough to have our conference in person in October in New Mexico, and had I think, a pretty significant turnout considering the state of the world right now and our current pandemic state. And really look forward to continuing that momentum and really getting nurses to be an integral part of this industry.
Yeah, that is amazing. Awesome, awesome. Talk to me. You are a lot of things. You are a lady code of many color. I need to know about radical health. How did you get to that level? I need to know about Live 411. What's going on there? I need more stuff.
Okay. You want the
that you
tea,
do.
as the kids say? You want me to spill the tea? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, let's do the tea. Yeah.
So Radical Health was started in 2018 with my business partner, Timothy Byers, and his background is curriculum development. And he just happens to be the husband of my best friend. And we would have many, dinners together, and I would tell him about how nurses were very interested in learning more about cannabis, and there was no formal education out there. So we worked together to start creating curriculum and came up with our self-paced modules that are now available online. Originally, our target audience was nurses, but we recognize that there's a lot of other licensed professionals that are interested in learning about cannabis. And so now we have different levels of sort of foundational and advanced sciences that we offer. And so we continue to do that work. We have our community that we try to do once a month. It's usually once every 6 weeks. We'll get a community out. We're going to have one next week, actually, on THCV. So we really do try to look at current trends, like when Delta 8 kind of hit the market and there was a lot of consumer confusion. We tried really hard to go into the science and provide that information so that not only healthcare professionals, but also some consumers could really understand, what the risks and benefits were of that particular cannabinoid. And same thing with THCV. We're seeing some people come out and producing this cannabinoid in products, and people are calling it diet weed. And, what's the evidence say? We're always trying to make sure that we're providing some unbiased information that's evidence-based, because there's a lot of hyperbole in the industry. There's also, I think, challenges with the industry wanting to talk about some of the potential adverse effects or risks of cannabis because they're concerned that, we don't want any more negative attention on cannabis, which I understand. And a lot of our curriculum is informed through my practice. So I started my practice in 2014, and that really came out of sort of just a moment with a patient who was wanting to use cannabis for her cancer treatment. Wanted her physician's approval. Her physician said no. And she said, that's okay, I'll get it off the streets. And she was serious, and she was in her 80s. And all I could think of is, this woman deserves better. She deserves to have someone help her navigate this professionally. And that's when I decided to basically hang a shingle and start my practice. And in 2014, we still only had medical cannabis in California. So it was, patients came to me out of necessity and didn't realize that they were getting this comprehensive treatment plan. And, I've continued that through legalization, although it's not a requirement now in California, so there hasn't been as much demand. But I gather quite a bit of evidence and data on my patients. I've really learned some real world, experiences that help me inform how I treat my patients.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for what you do. I mean,
Sure.
I tell people cannabis is not different from our spinach. It's grown in the soil, just like all this stuff. It's not different. I grew up with herbal medicine. We have right now plant-based products that are even more dangerous. Look at St. John's wort. St. John's wort interacts with almost anything and everything under the sun. We look at spinach. All this we tell folks, when you look at coumadin, don't eat green leafy veggie. Does that mean green leafy veggie is bad for you? Right. No, it's just that it interacts with Even our conventional medicine, it interacts with a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
when you look at cannabis, it's like this demon. Beautiful. The only thing is that God, nature was so kind to us and added all this extra cannabinoid for us. But they have locked it up in the jail of human.
Mm-hmm.
We are
So
not
scared of
going
it.
on. Yeah, it is sad. It is sad. And to see that our patients are the one at the receiving hand of this greed from, and I'm not against capitalism. I'm a capitalist myself.
Sure.
But when we continue to put these plants in the prison of human and not even worry about the patient that you just talked about, it just breaks my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me, Miss Eloise. What are the roles of the nurses in cannabis space? See what I noticed about? That's why I love what you people are doing. The nurses, why we, the pharmacists, are still hiding our head under the sand, and the physicians are barely even getting there yet. You nurses, nurse practitioners in particular, have gone far. You literally developed this whole space.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm beginning to see some posts on social about, oh, what qualification do not know. And I'm like, where were you when they were developing all this space? Physician, where were
Thank
you?
you.
I know I'm stepping on toe. That's what we do here. We don't leave no stone unturned here.
That's right. That's
Uh,
right. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I had to say, well, duh. What are you talking about? Where
Yeah.
were you when they were developing? And a lot of nurses were on LinkedIn on that day, and they found on that post, and I was happy. I joined,
Yeah.
quickly jumped in there too to join them. Talk to me. What roles are the nurses able to perform in the cannabis space?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and we have a unique scope of practice, and people all the time will challenge it, and particularly in the cannabis space. And we're not trying to be physicians. We're just trying to do what we do naturally, which is educate and advocate for our patients. I mean, we're boots on the ground. We're usually spending the most time with the patients. They're confiding in us in ways that they don't confide with their other healthcare team. So we really do collect a lot of data that is objective data that helps us inform what is best for the patient. And I think some of the disconnects in the industry is that the industry is looking for the patient to provide their data, their subjective data, which we all know can be problematic because they may not remember, recall issues, consumer bias issues, right? Oh, yeah, no, that made me feel great. But we can play a large role in that data collection to help inform practice, because again, with these restrictions on research, we have to rely on real world evidence right now to inform, what's best for patients. Like I talked to the public health nurses today and the Association of the Public Health Nurses, and they're seeing a lot of patients out there using it, and they need the information so that they can help patients use it effectively and reduce harm. That's our role. And I think the more educated we are, the more global we can go with that.
Yeah, that is noble. That's
Mm-hmm.
what I will call it. That is really, really noble. Imagine if you guys have not stepped in to start helping patients to navigate this space.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Talk to me, Miss Eloise. How about the ACNA? How does that organization? I know this, you like you said, you guys are already international, not just here in United States, in Canada, in UK, in Australia. How how does this organization fit into everything?
It gives nurses a space to come and learn about cannabis and become educated. There's still a lot of nurses, I would say, that are in the cannabis closet or in the shadows. They're still, concerned about um, even admitting that they're learning about cannabis because of the stigma, the Schedule One status. Are they going to lose their job? Are they going to be drug tested? So it really does provide a safe space for them to network and become educated. And we are working on credentialing, which is really important for any subspecialty in nursing that needs to be taken seriously. So a lot of our work has been dedicated to working with the American Nursing Credentialing Center to start that process. And they have accepted our initial documents and are excited that we're bringing this forward.
I know.
I think we're still a couple years away from it happening, but we're laying that groundwork right now. And, I said it a couple of years ago, nurses are ready. When we see issues with our patients, we want to address it right away. And so in some ways we have some, I would say, unspoken bravery. Nurses tend to be really brave and willing to, speak up when they know it's in the best interest of a patient.
That is, I totally agree with you. Nurses have unspoken bravery. That's why many of us call you guys superhero. And that is, you guys are a really special breed of people, special breed without greed. That's how I'm going to put it. Yeah, that's what I'm going to put it. They are special breed without greed. You guys put yourself at the back burner and put your patient first. And like you said, in spite of the danger of license, how much it costs. I was talking to some ladies today that the cost of education itself is crazy. So for folks to put all that on the line and say, regardless, we're gonna put our patient for, that's really, really commendable. But at the same time, like I said, cost of education is like freaking crazy. Why should people go through cannabis education again after all the schools that we have gone to, after all the student loans? And what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think exactly. I was interested in learning more about holistic nursing, and it's expensive. Any sort of certificate program or continuing education. I think it is sort of part of our responsibility to be, as well-rounded as possible, not just cannabis, but we need to look at emerging trends like LGBTQ communities.
Absolutely.
And, how do we address that from a healthcare perspective? And so, I think it comes down to reducing harms and making sure that our patients are using it safely. I mean, I don't know how you avoid getting educated at this point, and really looking at education that's been put together by the pioneers in the space, because you can go on Dr. Google and get all sorts of information, but it's so much misinformation.
Not Dr. Google. Gee.
I know, just say no, right? It's I just reviewed somebody's work the other day and I just thought, why did you just get this all off the internet? It wasn't based on evidence, it wasn't factual. And unfortunately that stuff is out there. So we really, you're gonna get what you pay for.
Yeah.
It's a good investment.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what is your advice for audience that are wanting to, like you said, a lot of clinicians are still scared to come out of this green closet, cannabis closet. What is your advice to folks that in that space and they are thinking, oh, how do we even go through this?
Yeah, I mean, right now there is no formal, education and training program that's been developed. There's definitely trusted sources out there that, of course, I'm biased of Radicle Health because that's content I put together. There's Pacific College Health and Sciences that has a certificate program on medical cannabis. There's the Thomas Jefferson University that has a certificate program and even a master's. We have University of Maryland now that has a master's program. So we're definitely seeing some evolution in the space for, quality education that's coming out. And again, just looking at it from a harm reduction perspective, because we do know that patients are most likely getting their information from dispensary staff, and they're not necessarily getting any formal training or education either. And I don't think they want the responsibility of telling patients how to use cannabis as a medicine, right? I
I,
think that's too
I
much for
tell
them.
people that the bartender, no pun intended, they're not paid to be a clinician.
Mm-mm.
I mean, they are not paid for that. But when you put them in a position to become clinicians, when they're not even paid that right, is that even
Right.
fair on them? You
Nope.
know,
It's
yeah,
not. They're
yeah.
not educated. I think it's stressful for them. And, there's a high turnover rate in the dispensaries. So I can see why they're not investing in the education. I think we really need to look at, the first point of contact for a lot of our patients. We need to do a lot of work there in terms of how we help them navigate it. And we need to come together as an industry, which I think is still an area where we haven't matured.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I totally agree with you because there was a day I was doing a club in the clubhouse, and one of these ladies came on, and she was just thanking me for the content. She said, I am a bartender, and all these are
Mm.
some of the stuff we really wish we have access to, and we don't get that. So they themselves, they want this education that you're talking about,
Yeah,
but
they do.
there is no way for them to really get it. And even the schools, that if you're gonna say, okay, go to the which school, they don't have it themselves.
Hmm. Yeah.
They don't have it themselves. So Miss Eloy, talk to me about Radical Health Network. I know you guys have a special network. Talk to me about that platform.
Yep, that's essentially the clinic. And, I have a couple other nurse practitioner, advanced practice nurses on there right now. And our goal is to help patients who want to use cannabis as a treatment. So they, unfortunately have to pay out of pocket right now because insurance doesn't cover it, but they get a great, full health intake, health history. And then we work with them to treat their goals of care. So if they're coming in for sleep, anxiety, the average age of our patient is 76. They're predominantly female who are looking for
Yeah.
help with sleep and anxiety. So there's a lot of opportunities to help the older adults, increase their quality of life and, use cannabis responsibly.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of platforms that you have, and you
I
do,
know.
and I'm gonna get there. How you get to be able to do all these things? You are, you are something special. And I'm gonna
Too
go
much.
to yeah, Live 411 as reading
Mhm.
that this is a non-for-profit platforms. Can you talk to us about how that platform operates and the people that works there? What is your intention with that platform?
Yeah, Leaf 411 was started in 2019, and Catherine Golden is the nurse CEO of that platform. And she was really looking to solve healthcare inequality, particularly in the cannabis medicine space, because she identified early on that patients didn't have access to a quality clinician, right? A well educated cannabis nurse, clinician, and could barely even afford the cost of the medicine. So, the goal with that platform is not only to provide either free or low cost medical cannabis education, but also to expand on an affordability program right now, which is really where we're trying to increase our donations because we have so many companies that want to donate their expiring products or expired products. And it's a great opportunity for us to get the products. And then, I mean, if the kinds of requests that we get every day are, I can't afford this. Can you help me get some? How can I get some more? It works, but I can't afford it. So we really need funding to help us there to be able to start with essentially just the operations of it, right? The distribution and getting patients onboarded and all of that, because I think there's so much medicine that gets thrown away that doesn't need to. And we could really, what a great system to have where we could provide patients with medicine and someone there to make sure they're using it safely and effectively.
That is really, really great. And I totally agree with you. And where do those medicine even goes to? Straight flush down the toilet, and this
Mhm.
water is recycled into our society. Then we are wondering, okay, why am I showing symptoms as if I am overdosing on steroid or all these things? And we, yeah, why is this hair coming out of my face? And we don't
Yeah.
know that indirectly, even our water is polluted with this agent. Yeah, it's a lot. I'm gonna
Mhm.
ask you a woman's question. I
I
was
love
in
it.
Women in Power in Cannabis a couple of months ago in their conference, and part of the theme of the conference was women. We are losing women in the cannabis space. The percentage of women that are in this space is just keep dribbling. It's like the men, and we are not saying women against men. That's not what we are about. But at the same time, what, and I was talking to some ladies out of Canada today. We had a earlier meeting before I jump into this Zoom call with you. It was the same thing that we don't even have enough women in the psychedelic space as well.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on here, and how can we resolve this? Because look at all the cool stuff that you and your teams are doing. I'm not saying there are no men on the ACN, and we saw a lot of men around, but it's predominantly women. We have more patience to deal with this issue. What's going on there?
hmm Yeah, I mean, nursing is predominantly a female-dominated profession, and so it makes sense that you see more women in the nursing space and in the cannabis
Definitely.
nursing space.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, funding is a big issue, and I think, lack of mentorship and resources. It's certainly the grind is real, right? So resilience is really something you have to have, and you have to be willing to hear no a lot. So I think from my perspective, I mean, I'm going to speak from my perspective. I see how women tend to sort of, you know, eventually kind of give up because, there's pretty frequent rejection. There's not a lot of funds
Yeah.
that, I mean, in the nonprofit with Lee 411, our biggest struggle is getting donations and sponsor. We can't even get our own industry to sponsor us. I mean, the amount of no's that we hear from the cannabis industry are mind boggling at times because I'm like, why wouldn't you want to support a company that provides, education and training to your consumer that's going to keep that consumer loyal to your brand and, continue to come back and purchase time and time again? There's so much jumping around from brand to brand because, people don't know what they're doing and they're just, trying to figure, they're this, I'm going to try this one because this one didn't work. But in terms of getting more women CEOs, I really think it is a lack of the ability for women to mentor each other and give them those opportunities to be able to be strong CEOs in the industry.
And that even brought me to is bringing me to the issue. Yeah, when in this kind of organization, you find out that predominantly a lot of the time is minority population that gets to be affected, because now you're choosing, should I get my cannabis or should I get milk? So,
hmm
I mean, this issue and these organizations that we are talking about, most of them are claiming, oh, diversity and inclusion. How can we start holding them accountable to this? Because at the end of the day, uh, we need to start holding this spirit, especially somebody like your organization, ACNA, that is really putting their money where their mouth is, really channeling diversity, really trying to bring that inclusion into your organization. How do you think we can start, I mean, holding folks responsible? Don't just say it, show us what you are doing as per the minority, like you said, the LGBTQ community, the disabled in our community, and the women. When are we gonna start creating that space? Is creating that space for women to be seated on this table.
Yeah. Well, I think we all have to take responsibility for it. My experience at ACNA was the approach was, we recognized early on that we did not have a diverse board and we didn't have a diverse panel of speakers either. And so if we were going to be serious about diversifying, we had to go out and do the work to do recruitment and mentorship. And so that was a lot of why things shifted so dramatically in the last 2 years in our organization, was because we all made a promise that this is something that we're serious about and we're going to put our money where our mouth is by doing the work. The other thing that we've done in the organization that am now taking into my personal businesses as well is that equity rider, right? We don't speak or participate in anything unless it's a diversified panel. And a lot of times we'll see, particularly in nursing, that other organizations want to get in front of us because we are a large group, 2.7, 2.9 million in the United States alone. And everybody gets all excited, oh, well, let me get in front of your nurses. We're doing an educational event and I'll say, I don't see a nurse on your panel. I don't see any diversity on your panel. I don't see any women on your panel. I'm seeing women of color in your panel. No, thank you. So it has to go both ways, right? And that's a lot of the work that we're trying to do right now in ACNA, as well as in our personal work as well. And I think that's, if you're truly serious about it, then you'll make the time and energy for that.
Thank you so much. I mean, that really warms my heart.
My pleasure.
It really means so much to me. It
Yeah, I
it
mean,
really
2020.
it really warms my heart to hear that, to see how hard you ACNA and your member are working to make sure you 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 represent who you are. Nurses are caregivers.
Right.
They care deeply, and you don't just care for the body, you care for the spirit and you care for the soul. You, like you said, a lot of this data that we really need the most, you get direct access to it. So for you to say this is, we are not healthy here, we need a whole body. And you know what that will cost you to tell an organization that, what, we're not coming unless we see this. That is like somebody taking lunch away from a child. Yeah. And I really want to say thank you so much for what you guys are doing. And I saw that at the conference when I came out there. It was right there on display. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you noticed it. That means the
Yeah,
world to me.
I saw that. So talk to me as you are getting ready to hand over the baton to the next incoming president in 2022. But how has your term, what are the challenges, the ups and downs that you have had to go through? If looking back, since you've been president since 2019, looking back, what will you tell your old self a couple of years ago?
Chill out. It's funny because I came in 2019 as the president-elect. So essentially, you're learning the ropes, and I had great grandiose ideas. And then 2020 hit and it was a pandemic. And
Yeah.
there was no playbook. There was no policies and procedures on how to handle it. And then with the George Floyd event, we had racial, unrest and injustices. And we came out with a really strong anti-racist statement. And it was incredibly eye-opening for me to see how racism really exists in our profession. It was very I wasn't expecting it. I have a really great mentor on the board, and she was willing to work with me and tried to prepare me, and even in my ignorance, continued to mentor me, as a white woman. And that it was some of the most intense work I've ever done, but the most rewarding. And what I'm most proud of is that we put together no tolerance, zero tolerance policies. We've upheld them when we found members were racist online. We removed them from our membership. I addressed those things straight on. And so what I've learned is that clarity is kind. So, I've learned to be really clear with people. This is our policy. This is what we're doing, and this is why. And it was a board decision. So to have that collaboration from a board, and to have that unity was so important, because you can feel so much more confident in what you're trying to say, because you know that you have the support of the board's, the board of directors. And that gave me the courage to really go out there and start challenging some of these ideologies that people had. And it's not easy. I would also tell myself that not to be so scared, because that was the other thing. I was always afraid at first to speak up, because I thought for sure it would have some sort of detrimental consequences. But the truth is that you attract the people that feel the same way, and you get to build on that together. Instead of feeling isolated from it, you get to have, again, this community that has been, I've made lifelong friends as a result of this. I'll never forget it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, superhero. Thank you so much. It is, see, and that is, like you said, sometimes this journey is challenging because there are some inherent in all of us that we might not even know, inherent bias. And at the end of the day, sometimes it's stuff that has been there for so long that we don't even know is there. So
Right.
even each and every one of us have to be willing to give uh each member the little space that he or she would need to process and have a change of heart and say, no, I didn't see it like that. We shouldn't just have to say, oh, this is it, boo, 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 you're going to be punished. No, we are all
Yeah.
human beings. We are
Yep.
all human beings. And like I said, I always tell people, what are we going to do about spilled milk? It doesn't mean the milk did not spill. It doesn't mean that is good, but
Right.
how do we move forward? That's what I'm about. How do we move forward? We move
Yep.
forward by coming together as one and taking the battle to where it's needed. And exactly what you said. That's what I really appreciate what you said. Saying, being clear, clarity of purpose of everything, that no means no.
Yeah.
And look at look at the conference. It's so amazing. Really, really, folks are still talking about it on LinkedIn up till today. I have it's great. Thank you so
I
much
love it.
for
I
that.
love it.
So as we are wrapping up, what is your advice to folks that are just coming into cannabis, be if they want to be a business person or just even generally new to cannabis consumption? What would be your advice for folks?
To be patient. Be very, very patient. Get educated for sure. And be look for a mentor, but also understand that there's very few of us. And I remember early on, getting feedback from a nurse that was, new to the industry, and she was craving mentorship, right? She wanted somebody to help her, and we were all so busy. And I finally said, just put your head down and go to work. You'll catch up. And she presented at the conference this year, and it was a great conference. It was a great presentation. It was very well received, and I just thought that's
Yeah.
how we do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's room for everybody.
It is work. It's hard work. A lot of
Yes.
people don't see the sleepless night.
Right.
sometimes sometimes when I do go on a conference and I do a presentation, and after that, because my husband Charles, he comes, he won't let me go anywhere alone. He just will not. So he comes with me when I say, hey babe, see, that was really nice. What you think? He'll be like, well, when you spend all your nights and days studying this thing, what do you expect? It takes work. It's a lot
Yeah.
of sleepless night. And the passion that we have for this plant, that's what's going to keep propelling us to keep doing this work. I am
So
so
true.
I'm glad to have you, no, Eloise, today. Talk to me. Where can our audience find you? How can we sign up with your programs? Where, what social media? Where can we find you?
Social media is definitely not my wheelhouse, but you can you can find us on our website, radiclehealthcare.com, and that's RADICLE healthcare.com. ACNA is cannabisnurses.org, the 411.org. Those are some of the websites, and you can usually just put them in social media and find our tags. It's hard to keep up with everything, right?
And I know you send me some of those links. And folks, we're gonna be having Miss Eloise's information on the show notes. So you guys just be on the lookout. As soon as we publish this episode, we're gonna have her on the look. She is, I say, she's calm, cool, and collected, but she is fire. Thank you, Miss Eloise. We love you so much.
Oh,
Thank you for
thank
being a
you.
superhero and
You
always
too,
helping
Dr.
our community. I appreciate you so much. Folks, that's our show for today. Yes, that's our show. For those of you that are yet to sign up for Psychedelic as Medicine Masterclass, head straight to the website. You can pre-register right now, wci-health.com. And like I said earlier, if you would like to sponsor this show, we need you. We need you, folks. If you would like to sponsor this show, slide in DM WCI Health 19 on IG or head straight to the website wci-health.com. And of course, you can also find me on Clubhouse, African Cannabis Club on Sunday, 12 noon, and also Cannabis Psychedelic Club on Saturday at 12 noon. Until next time, folks, remember health equals well. Bye, guys. Thank you, Miss Ella, so much. Thank you.
My pleasure.